You're listening to We Do Recover, the podcast that proves recovery is possible and connection is powerful. In this episode, Matt shares his journey through addiction and recovery, discussing the pivotal moments that led him to seek help and the importance of family support. He reflects on his experiences with treatment, relapse, and the lessons learned along the way. Let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome to episode 176. We are here today with Matt Borget, a friend of mine, and we'll let Matt get to introducing himself in just a second. But before we get to that, we have a couple of sponsors that we want to mention. The first is Diamond Detox. Every good recovery journey begins with a detox. And if you or a loved one needs help with that, Diamond Detox is a great place to go. Diamond Detox does just a fantastic job with detoxes. And if you need anyone to get detox, call these guys. So Diamond Detox phone number is 385-988-5332. You can also see them at diamonddetox.com. Again, phone number 385-988-5332. And then our other sponsor is Wasatch Crest. Wasatch Crest has treatment centers in Park City and Heber, Utah. And once you've got your loved one detox, send them to Wasatch Crest. Wasatch Crest phone number is 385-644-1500, or you can find them online at wasatchcresttreatment.com. Again, it's 385-644-1500. All right, let's get to it. Matt Borget, right?
Yes.
Is that your name?
That's the name they gave me.
All right. Who gave that name to you?
My mom and dad.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
That's good. Well, you know, Matt's not been on our podcast before. We always go through this and we talk a little bit about your story about sort of addiction. The concept of the podcast is not to focus on the addiction part, but we do like to know the story for sure. And then also, and then the recovery stuff and what you've been doing since. And that's the stuff we really like to focus on, of course. Tell me a little bit about Matt Borget, first of all, like right now, just what's going on in your life right now, where you living?
Yeah, so I live in Riverton, Utah.
Okay.
And I've been in that area for a little while. I'm married, just celebrated 5-year anniversary with my wife. And we just got a house in Riverton and having all the fun stuff of being a homeowner and learning how to fix things up and all of that. And I think, to simply put it, I have a very simple life today. You know, like when people ask me what's up, it's just no chaos, no drama, just living life and loving life, you know?
Awesome.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. Any kids?
No kids. We got a couple of cats, though.
You got cats?
Yes.
It's like kids. That's worse than kids.
Yeah,
Kids don't
depends.
scratch stuff up as much.
Yeah, not really.
But whatever. All right. Your wife's name?
Annika.
Yes. Where'd you guys meet?
So I'm glad you asked. Yeah. I like, if strangers ask us, I'll always say we met in rehab. She's not a big fan of that because we met at a treatment center where she was doing her rec therapy internship and I was working in admissions. So we both worked at a treatment center. She's never been to rehab. She's not a person in recovery. She's a normie. So, but that always gets a fun reaction out of her when I say that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So she didn't know you at all in active addiction?
No. And I have a hard time too, because I'd like try and tell her, like, I used to be cool. I used to be this rough character, and she's like, I don't believe it. You know, it's hard for her to see. But that's blessings of recovery. That's right good, there.
Though, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's talk about addiction.
Yeah.
Tell me how that whole thing kind of got started for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this to start. I thought when I was getting sober that I had this like ultra unique story and that nobody knew what it was like to be me. And I was the only one that did the stuff that I did. But getting sober and being with people in recovery, I've realized I am like 99% the same as most people that have done this stuff. And I think for me, it started really innocent. You know, it started, and I hear this a lot, but started with, you know, alcohol and marijuana and parties. And, you know, I think the hard part for me is being a young person that didn't really understand addiction, didn't know anything about substance use. I just knew in school, just say no, don't do drugs, just say no. And so when I started using substances, some of them felt a little bit more innocent. You know, it was like, Well, I smoked pot, nothing bad happened.
Okay.
I didn't go to jail and nobody got hurt, and it
Sure.
was kind of fun.
Sure.
And it kind of naturally progressed like that with my curiosity to try other substances.
About how old were you when you started?
I experimented a little bit when I was 13, 14. I had smoked pot a couple of times.
Okay.
The irony there is that, like, my friends that my parents were a little worried about when I was younger would have killed me if they found out that I was doing that. And so I tried it and was like, I don't want to upset my friends. It was kind of a different friend group that I tried that with. So I'm like, I'm going to stay away from that. But I started doing it consistently probably when I was 17,
Okay.
and then it just kind of progressed, and it was very naive. I just thought, like, nothing bad's going to happen. Everybody's just making a big fuss about drug use, and this is all pretty harmless. And yeah, we all know how that story ends.
Of course, it's gonna end the same.
Yes,
because you're 99% like everyone else in recovery. Right?
Yes,
it always ends the same.
Yes,
the details are a little different, but the story always ends the same. So you started in junior high, maybe.
Yeah, junior high.
Really?
That was more experiment.
Just a little bit of,
but in high school is when I really
Where'd
got
you go to
going.
high school?
Orem High, Golden Tigers. Let's go.
Somehow I thought you went to Mountain View. I don't know why.
Well, you have a son that's my age.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Mountain View. I was at Orem High, but we had some similar
mutual
friends.
How much pot did my son smoke then?
You know what?
Don't tell me that answer.
I plead the fifth.
I don't even know if I don't even know if he did. But it became. Would you say it became a problem in high school, or is it still not yet a problem?
Not yet a problem.
Okay.
I mean, to hone in on when it became a problem and to paint a picture of what my life was like at that point. I didn't really have much motivation to, like, get a job or go to college or do things.
So you graduated from high school?
Barely, by the skin of my teeth.
Graduate?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to get into it, but yes, by the skin of my teeth, I graduated.
So listen, I got some of those kids.
Yeah. So, and then after high school, I kind of was just like, I want to hang out with people that are partying and experiment with drugs. And, I knew a lot of people that use drugs. So I'm like, hey, maybe I can help them out by supplying these drugs. And then I can
like
get some money.
Entrepreneur,
yes. I had that entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, a couple of years after high school, I was selling drugs, was making good money doing it. Do
you feel like it almost sounds like it was sort of a goal almost.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
wanted to hang out with kids who were partying and doing drugs.
Yeah, because that's what I was doing, and it also helped me make some money.
Was it because of the money? Was it because of how it made you feel? Was it because it was cool? What was
100% because of how it made me feel.
Okay.
I'm just being reinforced all the time. People want to hang out with me. I'm getting money. I'm having fun. Like, everything about that lifestyle was being reinforced that it was great. But
so you're doing some dealing.
Yes.
What were you selling at the time?
Mainly marijuana, mushrooms, psychedelics, things like that.
Okay.
And I'm making this money as like a 18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with it. And the guy I was buying marijuana from, I had a conversation with him being like, dude, I don't even know what to do with this money that I'm making. And he said, why don't you come over to my house tomorrow? I want to show you something. I'm like, okay, cool. And I came over to his house the next day, and he breaks out these big pills that are kind of orangey green that say 80 on one side, OC on the other. And he showed me how to smoke Oxycontin. And, I honestly think prior to that moment, I was not an addict. And the moments after that, trying that the first time, I was an addict. And
that was the thing.
That was the thing. And I had tried.
Oxy 80 was the thing that really snagged you.
And I had tried pain pills before. I'd had Percocet prescriptions. I had, somebody's having surgery and they share their pills. And it was like, yeah, these are fun, great, whatever. But
you just had taken them before, though.
Yeah.
Not smoked them or anything. So
no.
The smoking of the Oxy was.
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's a big deal.
Yes. And so what ended up happening is I found out what to spend my money on. That's what I spent all my money on.
Okay.
Was totally naive about this, just like everything else that I had tried up till this point.
To buy Oxy.
Yes. So what ended up happening is somebody that I was selling pot to was a confidential informant. They had gotten in trouble with the law and said, hey, I'm going to help you find some other people. And I believe it was May 2009. I had Utah Major Crimes raid my house where I was selling, and I went to jail.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Orem.
Like in an apartment by yourself? Were you living with your parents?
I was living in a townhome with a friend that was helping me with my
with distribution.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, it's a podcast about addiction. We can talk frankly about it. It's okay.
So yeah, I was living with a
We're
friend.
not going to glorify it, but we can talk about it frankly.
Yeah. So that happened. I went to jail, and the first time I experienced opiate withdrawal was sitting in the Utah County jail, being booked on felony distribution charges, and it was
at that point, were you using every day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The team at Diamond Detox is compassionate, helpful, and trained to support every step of the healing journey. Your loved one's path to a healthier, happier life starts with a free and easy 20 to 30-minute assessment over the phone or a few questions submitted online on the Diamond Detox website. Assessments and admissions occur 7 days a week, depending on availability. To begin the path to recovery, visit diamonddetox.com or call 385-988-5332.
And I had not experienced withdrawal up to this point
you didn't
because
have any idea what hit you.
I had no clue.
And all of a sudden you're sicker than a dog.
Yeah. And then, these friends that love to hang out with me all the time, they're nowhere to be found after this because I don't have the house. I don't have the money. I don't have the drugs. Geez. And I had to learn that tough lesson of like, maybe I'm not that cool. Maybe just people like to partying at my house and me supplying them with drugs,
cool.
Yeah. So that was a tough pill to swallow. That was a very dark time for me.
Okay.
I ended up stopping my opiate use. I cold turkey
just on your own,
on my own. And then
why was that?
I think at that point I knew the gig was up.
Okay.
I knew
sort of the shine was off of the.
Yeah, and I knew I couldn't be going to court. I knew they could drug test me at any time. I didn't want to show up to court, get drug tested. My attorney at the time was telling me that I was looking at doing a year in county jail, possibly.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty serious. It was enough to scare me to not be doing that.
Okay.
And it was an interesting time too, because I really at that point was like, okay, that was kind of problematic, but everything else I did before was not.
Sure.
But
so you're talking about selling and the.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to selling and smoking pot, just not using Oxycontin.
Can't do the Oxycontin.
And
so let me, I might have missed that a little bit. So let's just walk that back for a minute for just a second. Sold an Oxy to a confidential informant, or you bought one from?
No. So this was all for the pot.
Okay.
Yes.
So you did go to jail for pot?
Yes, for selling pot, for distribution of that.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were selling pot to a CI?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Keep going. I apologize.
Yeah. So no, but the hard part for me, and this took a lot of stumbling, falling, being miserable, is I wanted to go back to that point before I had used Oxy.
Okay.
And was just using drugs that are a little more innocent, right?
Sure.
But I was an addict at this point.
Yeah. You're not ready to give up yet.
Yes. So I went through the motions, did what I had to do, did a little IOP program, luckily got a slap on the wrist going through, got probation, completed probation successfully, and then it was full tilt. Right back to everything.
Okay, if we look back on that now.
Yeah.
You say the word lucky. Obviously, you're sitting here talking with me, so everything's okay.
Yeah.
It all turned out fine, obviously. But if you had a loved one that had encountered that same thing, would you say it was lucky that they got a slap on the wrist? The reason I'm asking that, right, is every one of us that is in recovery has a rock bottom moment. And it doesn't sound like you've had that yet in this story.
Not even close.
Because you didn't. Because you did get a slap on the wrist. Because you didn't get hit with some big time charges, which could have been your rock bottom, but it didn't happen right then. So obviously, again, with everything turning out okay, you can say, yeah, that turned out great. But would you have quit earlier if they'd have slapped you with a big 6-month jail sentence or something, you think?
I don't know. I know. We'll never know, but it's very possible.
Theoretical question, right?
Yeah, and it's very possible. And, you and I work in the field. We help people get into treatment. We're talking with families, doing all this. And sometimes there are those scenarios where it is like them being in jail for a little bit is probably best case scenario.
We think that and feel that about other people all the time. Like, I don't know if you've told a parent, hey, it might be a really good idea for them to stay in jail for a while. Or, that's a very common thought amongst us because we know that the worse the consequences are, the more likely someone is to quit, right? The ultimate story is we quit when the pain of using becomes greater than the pain of quitting.
Yes.
And so sometimes we like to see people with harsh consequences, not because we want them to suffer, but because it might be the force that turns their life around sometimes.
Well, I think that's a good segue for us to maybe talk a little bit more of the message and a little less about the mess.
So if you want to skip a little bit, that's
Yeah.
fine. How did you get to what was rock bottom then?
Yeah,
How did that go for you?
So just to fast forward over the next few years, I was in and out of treatment a few times. I graduated to using heroin, and my drugs of choice were heroin and Xanax. And so, as you can imagine, I was pretty sleepy all the time.
Sure.
Was nodding out all the time.
Sure.
It was glaringly obvious to family and friends, and reluctantly went to treatment when I was forced with having to go.
Okay.
I did not do well in treatment.
When you say forced, who forced you?
Family.
Okay.
And, I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. I did treatment a few times. I lost a lot of friends. A lot of these people I was using
Let me
with.
ask you a question though. What forced into treatment by your family? What does that mean? Like, what did your parents say you're going to treatment or else, or what? I mean, how'd that?
I'll tell you how it played out. It was more my friends too. So I got confronted by family, and there was no conversation of, we know you're using drugs, but it was very obvious that I was, really sick.
Okay.
And so I was confronted by family saying, we're going to get you into treatment. We've got a place. Let's get you in. And their ultimate fear in that is that I'm going to say, I'm not going, leave, and go die face down in a ditch somewhere, right? And I did exactly that, minus the last part. I said, I'm not doing this. I left. I went to my drug dealer's house, my heroin dealer's house, this guy that I'm giving every dollar that I make, every dollar I come across to. And I remind him of that and say, you need to put me up at your house for a few days. And my heroin dealer, whose habit I am supplying, by the way, looks at me and says, you're a mess. I don't trust you. You're not staying at my house. You should listen to your family and go get help. That wasn't enough for me. I went to a using buddy's house who I'm using drugs with almost every day and give him the same speech. Hey man, like, I'm making sure that you're well. I'm sharing with you. You need to put me up for a few days. I get the same speech. You're crazy if you think I'm going to let you stay at my house. I don't trust you. You're sick. I'm worried about you. I don't want you to die like all our other friends are. You need to listen to your family and go get help. So I didn't have anywhere to go. It was a last resort.
Wow.
So that's what got me into treatment my first time.
I don't know if I've heard that story before. I've heard something similar probably, but drug dealers saying, I don't trust you. Like,
yes,
that's a rock bottom.
Yeah.
Guys that are untrustworthy don't trust you.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay. So you didn't have a place to go. So you had very little option.
Yes.
So a bed to sleep in.
That's what got me into treatment my first time. Still having this thought the whole time I'm there. I'm still having this thought that marijuana is not my problem. Psychedelics aren't my problem. Now it's just benzodiazepines and opiates. Those are bad. Everything else is okay.
Sure.
I do a 60-day treatment stay, and the day I get out, I'm smoking pot.
Okay.
And this is the hard part, is when I'm getting sober and then I have some clean time and I smoke pot, then I'm like, well, I'm already getting high. I'm not sober. I'm already spending money on drugs. I'm going to do what I really want to do.
Why would I do the ones that I don't love?
Yes. And this has happened many times in my life, where I've tried this little experiment of, these substances are my problem, these ones aren't. And what happens every single time, I don't care if it's alcohol, I don't care if it's marijuana, I don't care if it's Valium, whatever it is, I've got about a 2-week fuse before I'm doing exactly what my brain wants me to do, which is heroin and Xanax and crack cocaine and anything that'll make me feel good. And I'm glad that I've lived that and that it's happened to me, because now at almost 11 years sober, I know if I have those thoughts that it's going to lead me right back to where I was or worse. And I don't want to go to that place again ever. And so I'm glad I've had that happen. And when I see it happen with people that are trying to get sober, I'm like, just don't forget it. Remember it, because this might be what it takes for you to enter into long-term sobriety.
I love that because, in my job as a physician, I'm talking to patients all the time and I'm counseling people. And there's enough proof in the medical literature that any addictive substance gives you a higher chance of relapsing on your drug of choice, no matter if those substances are related or not. So, I'll see patients come into treatment that come in for whatever, alcohol, pain pills, it doesn't matter. And they're on Adderall. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's a fight tooth and nail to get them off the Adderall. But there's medical literature showing that Adderall use leads to higher rates of relapse on alcohol. It leads to higher rates of relapse on opiates. And people don't always understand that. A lot of times you're just going to have to, particularly if people that are quite a bit younger than me, they have to go make their own mistakes and figure that out.
Yeah.
Which is, it's nice that you figured it out, at least sort of semi early before 30 years of use. Yeah, it's hard to convince people of that because, well, Adderall's not my problem. It's exactly the same mindset that you went through.
Yes.
This isn't my problem because I don't even really love pot. I love opiates, and as long as I'm just using pot, but pot leads to opiates.
Well, and I think another important point to make, like if there's any families listening to this, I work with families all the time and they see their loved ones go into treatment and they might have a relapse afterwards.
Mm.
And they just automatically think just total failure, catastrophic failure. It didn't work. We got 0% progress. And that is not the truth.
Yeah. I love that too.
It's they retain stuff from treatment. But if they're anything like me, they've relapsed and gone, what am I doing? And they're thinking about all the things that they learned in treatment. So, that's why I call it an experiment. I was learning things and testing things, and that stuck with me.
But that's a good point too. Really good points, Matt. If people relapse and learn nothing, it's a total waste. If you relapse and can take something away from the relapse, then okay, it was progress, right? And oftentimes in our field, we measure the significance or how good the treatment stuck with a person by whether they stay clean and sober for a full year. Well, okay, if a guy's drinking every day the year before that and he drinks 14 times the year after that, how is that? We don't measure that.
Right.
We call that a failure sometimes.
And that's really progress.
And it's that's a definite unfair characterization of what's gone on. The guy learned something. He's trying not to, and he screwed it up 14 times instead of 365 times. Like that. That's a really lovely point that I think should go out to families is listen, if your loved one goes to treatment and they come out and they're not perfect in that first year, if they were better than they were the year before, then they're on their way to becoming, and no one's perfect.
Yeah.
But they're on their way to becoming clean and sober.
Yeah.
And so we need to look at sometimes those relapses and not just like throw in the towel and say, I'm done with Johnny. He went to treatment and he can't stay clean for longer than 3 weeks now. 3 weeks. That's pretty good sometimes for people. And also the other thing is there's very few people that go to one treatment episode and stay clean and sober.
Right.
Long term. There's room for people to do that, but it's not that common. It's way more common that people have been to multiple treatment episodes.
Yes.
And okay, so, all right, you went to treatment, started smoking pot after treatment.
Yep. That short fuse, got right back to doing what I was doing before, went back to treatment again, may or may not have decided to bring drugs into treatment with me. Left AMA.
It's not a confession or anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wasn't what I would refer to as a good client. In fact, my first couple treatment stays, I was sneaking drugs in. I was getting in trouble, was not taking it serious. I wasn't ready. And I did have a moment of change where I started taking treatment serious. And this is where you and I met. I'll break my own anonymity here.
You're allowed to break your own.
Yeah. So the third time that I went to treatment, I had just left a program, AMA. My family is just so upset with me. And this is where things started to change. And I share this with families all the time. With me going to treatment the first couple of times, my family started to learn how to deal with me, which is one of the most important things is family programs and these families getting some education around the disease of addiction. So I leave this program, AMA, and I call my family. And they have the conversation with me that changed my life, where they said, we're done. You can't stay at our house. We're not going to give you any money.
Ooh.
We're going to do nothing to help you out if you want to continue using drugs. If you're an adult man, if you want to continue using heroin and smoking crack, you go figure that out. And we hope it works out for you. If you want to get sober and live a life in recovery, there's absolutely nothing we won't do to help you achieve that. And it's really hard to continue using drugs like that when you don't have somebody enabling you. I went, oh, crap, what am I going to do?
Do you have any concept of how hard that must be for a mother to say that to a son?
I can't wrap my head around it because I don't have kids. And I ask families to have these conversations and I have to tell them, I can't even imagine how hard it is to have that conversation.
I think that I have had some children that have struggled with addiction a little bit or more than a little bit. I don't know why I minimize that, but I have told people for a long time, I know what the textbooks say that you should do. I can tell you exactly what to do. I just don't know if I can do it with my own kids
Right.
sometimes. I had multiple times I should have kicked my kids out of my house, and I didn't. And here I am with essentially all the book knowledge in the world of, that's ridiculous to say, but a fair amount of book knowledge about addiction. And I can't kick my own kids out of my house. And I
It's
can't cut them
yeah.
off from my life. And for
It's
a
funny you
mom to
say
do
this.
that is hard.
Yes, it's funny you say this too, because that's been a large part of my career is helping people get into treatment. I've got a friend who I love dearly, who I've known the majority of my life, that I helped get into treatment a couple months ago. The way I interacted with him throughout the whole process was entirely different, because this is somebody that I love and care about and have known forever. All of my training and the way I usually do things were all out the window, and I was an emotional mess,
Mm-hmm.
And luckily he's doing very well, and he was very patient with me, acting like a crazy mom, but
Yeah.
it just changes things. So my family has this conversation with me, and I was like, can I check into a detox center? And they said, this detox center's in network. I went to a detox program. While I was in there, I called them again and I said, hey, is there any place I could get into treatment? And they said, here's 2 places that are in network. Why don't you give them a call? One of those was New Roads Behavioral Health. I called New Roads and ended up getting in there. And that's where you were the provider there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you and I first crossed paths.
Hi, my name's Jim Huffman. I'm the founder and CEO of Wasatch Crest Treatment Services. We're located in Heber City, Utah, amongst the beautiful Wasatch Mountains. We offer a full continuum of care, and what that means is that, we can support our clients and their families from day one all the way through their entire recovery journey. Our goal here at Wasatch Crest is for this to be your last time in treatment and the beginning of a life in recovery that will bring you joy and fulfillment and a sense of healing to you and your family and to those who love you.
To learn more about Wasatch Crest, call me, Jared, directly at 385-644-1500 and check out the website at wasatchcresttreatment.com.
And I had a whole different approach on treatment this time, because I'm like, my druggy friends won't take me in. My family held their boundaries.
Get a dealer to.
So I had nowhere to go. And I'm grateful the approach that New Roads had at the time. It's a little different now. And it was primarily substance use there when I went. And we've kind of changed that now. But the place was full when I was there. And it was very much an attitude of, if you don't want to be here, there's somebody that wants your bed and you better do the work. So I was kind of like forced into it, or strongly encouraged, and things started to change. My behavior started to change. I started to dive into things a little further and really appreciate the fact that I was there. Also, this was in Provo, in my stomping grounds. And, it was great for me to be able to get sober in a place where I'm like, I know that house is a drug dealer's house. I know, and so it was wildly beneficial. And I ended up staying in there and did residential treatment for 4 months.
Wow.
I was a little scared to leave. I knew I was doing well there, and I was scared to leave. I got out of treatment and did okay for a couple of months, and ultimately ended up relapsing. And my last relapse looked a lot different. And the way I describe it is there's a part, and I think it's in the big book. I believe it's in More About Alcoholism. And it says the great obsession of every abnormal drinker is to one day control and enjoy his drinking. And at every point in my use up until that point, it was completely out of control, and I really enjoyed it. Then I tried a different approach. I'm going to try and control my use. And I didn't enjoy it. I put myself on a little protocol. Since you're a physician, you'll like this. I could do this much heroin, and I could smoke a little crack on the weekends, have 1 shot of vodka at night, that kind of stuff. Take 1 milligram of Xanax. And
what an absolute plan for success that is.
So, but it wasn't scratching that itch I had. And this is where I hit my bottom, because I'm not enjoying using drugs. I don't know how to be sober. I'm not happy. I don't know which way is up. I was just absolutely spiritually, emotionally lost and bankrupt. And I didn't know what to do. I had never been so depressed in my life. And I reached out to my mom, and I didn't have the heart to tell her that I was using drugs. I was just saying, I'm really going through it. And she just simply asked, how are you doing in your sobriety right now? And I said, I'm not doing good. I need to go back to treatment. And I called the folks at New Roads, and tried to talk them into letting me come back for like 2 weeks. I don't need to do a full stay, And One of the most pivotal conversations I've had in my recovery journey is with a woman that worked there named Nicole Manwaring. And she just said, shut up and do the next right thing. Get in the car and come down here. And it was simple enough for me to hear in that moment. I got in the car, I went down there. And after about a week, when I got my feet under me, she's like, you're staying here for like 90 days, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. But it was really hard. This was my 4th time going to treatment. And this isn't 28 days. I did 60 days. I did 120 days. I'm doing these long treatment stays. And I was just like, tail between my legs. I'm just like, this is impossible. And I was really discouraged going back to treatment for the 4th time in such a short period of time. And I think I honestly would have left. And another one of the most pivotal conversations that I've had with somebody is like day 1, day 2, I'm sitting down in your office. You're seeing me as, a new client coming in. And I thought you were going to read me the riot act and say, I can't believe you're back here. You were doing so good. What went wrong? And you probably sat and talked to me for 45 minutes, just saying, I'm so happy that you're back here. You've got this. Most people don't come back. Most people are too proud. And I don't remember everything that was said, but I left that going, I might stick this out and may not pack my bags and leave tonight. And so forever grateful to you for taking that time. You didn't have to do that.
Right.
You probably had 25 other clients to see that day, but it's moments like these that we get to give to people to help them. And here I am, almost 11 years sober, sitting down doing a podcast with you.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Like, those are the things that I think when we're in touch with our higher power, those things come to us. I don't think any of that was me. I don't know why, because you know me a little bit. Like, I can be as grumpy as the next guy. There's no question. Like, I don't know what came over me that day, because I don't specifically remember it in as much detail as you do, obviously, but there's something in here. There was something in here that apparently told me that's what you needed at that point. No great spiritual discernment on my part. I think just God worked through me somehow. I said the right things one day. That's great.
We'll keep it up. Maybe it'll happen a couple more times.
It might. And listen, I think we've all had those moments where I don't know why I did that. Like, that's not how I always approach it.
Right.
I've read some people the riot act. There's no question.
Yeah.
I don't know why that came out of me that day, but appreciate you saying it, because that's lovely.
Yeah.
That makes me trust my higher power more.
Yeah. There you go. So that treatment stay is my last one. That was my last debauch. I stayed in treatment for 90 days there. And if they had told me you got to stand on your head in the corner of the room for every group and you'll 100% guaranteed you'll stay sober, I would have done it. Yeah. Like, I was ready to do anything that it took. And with my last relapse, I think I did such a good job of convincing myself I was doing great that it was like the relapse snuck up on me. But this time I was going to make sure that did not happen. Didn't follow up with any outpatient or anything like that. What I did was I dove headfirst into 12-step programs, and that is what worked for me. I'm forever grateful for those programs and those rooms and the people in them, and that's what worked for me. I'm not saying that nobody should do outpatient, but I had a moment too in that last treatment stay where they're bringing me to these rooms and I'm seeing these people pick up these chips of 3 years, 6 months, and I'm like, how are these people doing it? And these people seem happy. And the people that worked in the treatment program I was at were people that went to these meetings. So I started asking them a bunch of questions, and that's what ultimately changed things for me. But I had this moment where I said, I want to be that person for people in treatment. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I got out of treatment, I started calling New Roads every single week. Hey, when are you going to hire me? When are you going to hire me? And they had a hard, fast 1-year rule. But at 7 months, they had seen me around. They knew I was doing good. They were tired of me calling, and they gave me a shot to go work graveyards. And I think, to make this quick, I just kept doing the next right thing, taking advantage of opportunities that were in front of me. And now I am where I am today. I have clients that I work with that say, it's really impressive what you do for work. Like, how did you end up doing that? And I'm kind of like, I have no idea. Yeah. It's like, I started working graveyards a while ago, and now, I'm helping people get into treatment. And that's the short and sweet of it with my career. Like, just try and show up, help people, do the next right thing, and opportunities open up. And so for probably the last 8 years of my career, I've been working in admissions and business development for a few different treatment programs. I've landed back at New Roads, which is very cool. because now I get to help people get into the very program I got sober at.
Absolutely. So you can testify the program as good as anybody.
Yes. And the beauty of it too is so many people still work at New Roads that were there 10 years ago when I was a client.
Yeah.
And so I get to work with people that saw me at my worst and are seeing me at my best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me back it up just a little
Yeah.
bit. And I appreciate you getting to where you're at. But, you mentioned about standing on your head in the corner. And I've told clients this a lot. It's a phrase I use all the time too, is like, if they ask you to go stand on your head in the corner and drink water through a straw in your nose, it's not doing that will get you clean and sober. It's just the willingness to do that.
Yeah.
Like whatever they say, do it, because you don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
You don't know how to stay clean and sober. If they tell you something to do that seems absurd to you, well, guess what? The person that told you that's clean and sober, and you're not.
Yes.
Like, when you get to that desperation and willingness, if you'll do anything they say, no matter how dumb it seems, that's the people that get clean and sober, honestly. So that's super cool. Okay, so your first job in treatment was New Roads night shifts.
Yep.
Just your very first introductory job into the treatment
Yeah.
world. Night shifts is
tough.
Yeah, talk to me.
I was just so grateful to be working in treatment. And so I enjoyed it. It is tough being in early recovery and sleeping during the day and not seeing the sun come up. So there was a shelf life on doing that. And luckily I got to work into doing some day shifts with them. And it was a lot of fun. I got to learn how to have boundaries with clients, and
that's hard.
Yeah, it was tough, but I learned a lot of really important lessons on how to work with people and be effective and de-escalate and all of that.
And do you have any idea? I mean, you probably mentioned it already, and maybe it just flew through my head, but what was the last straw? What was it for you? What was the very last? What made you give up on using drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, I think a lot of people look at consequences. Like I was facing a jail sentence. I lost my house. My wife divorced me. All of these things, right? For me, it was an inside thing. I didn't lose a job. I wasn't facing a jail sentence. I wasn't getting divorced. I didn't have these big consequences or things that I'm losing. It was an inside thing. It was being at the lowest low I've ever been at in my life. And it was I just remember so vividly thinking, I don't ever want to feel this way ever again. And that's what I lean on in moments that I've been weak or thinking of throwing it all away or anything like that. I can always fall back on, I remember how I felt in that moment, and I don't ever want to feel that way again. And what I'm feeling right now might be temporary, but I know if I work through it, I'm not going to have to go back to that dark place.
When you say you don't ever want to go back to that moment again, was it and can you pinpoint this even, but was it here I am and I don't have a place to live? Nobody will take me in?
No, it was just that spiritual and emotional bankruptcy is what it was.
I got nothing in here.
I got nothing in here. It was like, I don't want to live. I don't want to end my life. I don't want to use drugs. I don't know how to get sober. I want to have meaningful relationships. I don't know how to accomplish that. It was just, I had no answers for anything and zero direction. And I was just lost, simply put.
Well, do you have any advice for those who are still out there using? Anything you'd say to them who maybe are contemplating trying to not use anymore?
Yeah, I just look at my experience, and I don't know if everybody's having the same experience as me, but when I was actively using drugs, I thought I was unique. I didn't even know that you could go to a place and say, I've been using benzos, and they say, I know how to get you off that safely. I didn't really know that there was help out there. I knew there was treatment programs, but I didn't know that people knew how to say, we're going to comfortably take care of you. I thought it was like, put on this hospital gown, go sweat it out.
Yeah, go puke all over
and
the place.
And so that's what I would say to my former self is, people know how to take care of you, and you're going to be okay. And they're more than happy to take care of you. And anybody that's out there still using, there's a huge spectrum of where they're at in the decision-making process. I mean, it's just possible. People do it. There's millions of people in recovery that have done it and can show you how to do it and be there with you every single step of the way.
So many stories I think that I've heard have a lot of, obviously the details are always different, but the similarities are just amazing because you're sitting here telling me a story. And I think back to treatment. When I first went into treatment, here I am. I was a busy obstetrician and gynecologist in Provo, Utah. And, this guy on my left is a guy that worked for the Division of Wildlife Resources. And his job was to blow up fish and they'd float to the top and he'd count them. They didn't kill them and stun them. But, and this guy over here was a plumber. And I'm like, when I first got there, I'm like, I'm nothing like these guys. And then, a counselor said to me once, like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Because the same reason this guy and this guy's here.
Yeah.
Right. We're all exactly the same in at least that one aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
We're using stuff that's ruining our lives and we don't know how to quit. And so, yeah, every time people, when they come into treatment, when they focus on the differences between them and the rest of the patients, they don't get better. And when they focus on the similarities, yeah, I'm you and I'm you and you're me. And okay, our jobs are different. We're not here because of our jobs. We're here because I don't seem to stop using heroin in your case, or I don't seem to be able to stop using pain pills or morphine in my case, or those similarities are what is the most important thing, not the differences.
Yeah.
Focus on differences. Yeah, you'll be different than the rest of the treatment center, but that's not why you're here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. You're not here because of any of your background or your family, or you're here because you got a substance you can't seem to stop on your own. What does your recovery look like now? Like what kind of things are happening in your life now that you think help keep you clean and sober?
So I'm not able to be as active in 12-step programs as I was when I first got sober,
Okay.
but that's the beauty of the program, is practicing principles of that program in your daily life. I think one thing that I've always done for the entirety of my sobriety is talking with another person in recovery every single day, no matter what.
Beautiful.
And another thing is letting people know where I'm at, good, bad, or indifferent. If I'm going through it, I'm picking up the phone and calling somebody and letting them know. When I start having good ideas, I'm picking up the phone, calling people and letting them know. And I think just trying to live a life of gratitude and being grateful for everything that I have in my life today, because my life could look a lot different if I had made a few different choices. So focusing on that gratitude, connecting with other people that are in recovery, helping other people that are trying to achieve recovery. That's what it looks like for me today.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. What are the things you do in your life that bring you joy and happiness these days?
I'd say hanging out with family. I've got love my nieces and nephews. One of my favorite things in life is being an uncle and getting to spend time with
How
those
many
kids.
brothers and sisters do you have?
So I've got one brother, one sister. And then on my wife's family, she's got two brothers and a sister. And yeah, love spending time with
I don't
family.
want you to count right now, but about how many nieces and nephews do you have, you think?
7, 8, 9, something like that.
Yeah. All right. That's fun.
Yeah. Love getting out and golfing when it's warm outside.
Have you caught that bug, did you?
Oh yeah, I caught that bug.
Are you treating it just like you did your addiction?
Not quite yet, but yeah, I enjoy it. And I'll tell you what I enjoy about golf is I think that there is so many parallels between golf and life, and such a great thing for somebody that's in recovery to take up. I think Alice Cooper had it all figured out, right?
Absolutely.
And so it keeps you mentally focused. You have to be mindful when you're out there on the golf course. And
Absolutely.
so any people that are new to sobriety, think about taking it up.
Yeah. When you can calm this thing down, golf is better.
Yes, 100%.
When you got 800 things going on up here, golf is hard.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't work out very well, but when you can slow that down, what a great skill for life.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to slow your own stinking thinking down.
I love getting up and hitting the slopes in the winter.
Okay.
My wife's brothers and my wife snowboard, so we all go out snowboarding as much as possible in the winter, golf in the summer, try and get some camping trips in between. Wife and I love to travel, love to camp, love to go hiking.
What's the coolest place you've been?
I'm not super well traveled, but my wife and I went to Tulum, Mexico.
Okay.
And just stayed in town and rented a moped and soaked in the culture. And that was a lot of fun traveling there. We've also been to Maine. She used to live out there and worked out there for a couple summers, I believe. We spent some time out there. Maine's beautiful. We loved it. And then we like to hit national parks. We went to Acadia while we were out there.
Okay.
We've been to most of the parks here in Utah. We just got back from camping in Yellowstone and Grand Teton, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just like to be outdoors.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Any last words of advice you'd give for people?
Just reach out.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, call someone. I feel like most people know somebody that has struggled with addiction at some point in their life, or know somebody that has helped somebody get into recovery. Pick up the phone and call that person.
How would they get a hold of you?
So I mentioned I went to New Roads. They had a substance use program. New Roads has shifted over the years to do primary mental health treatment. And I know that's a term that's thrown out a lot. I like to use the term subacute psych to kind of hit home to the acuity level of clients that we can take. So we take higher acuity mental health clients. And
you guys have, if I'm not mistaken, at least a part of a program that's specifically designed for patients with diagnoses like borderline personality disorder.
Yes.
Which is an incredibly tough group of people to work with sometimes.
It can be. And we are a comprehensive DBT program, which is a modality of treatment that was created to treat just that.
Borderline, absolutely.
And it's very effective. And so with that, we have been known to treat clients that have borderline personality disorder. We have our program separate. So we have our worth program, which is where our female identifying clients are. And that's where we do see BPD quite a bit. And then we have our North program where our male identifying clients are. But to speak to the acuity of clients that we can take, BPD, those clients deal with suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation quite a bit, self-harm. These are things that can be very scary for a lot of treatment programs, and they can shy away from that. That is something that we welcome, that we treat, and that we've been treating for a long time. Some other diagnoses would be like schizophrenia, schizoaffective. Can be really tough, really scary for treatment programs. If the client's having auditory, visual, tactile hallucinations, that is something that we treat and that we welcome, that we do not shy away from. And then there's other things that have added complexity. We see a lot of clients that are on the autism spectrum, and with that have other mental health conditions on top of that, which can be tough. And so I often joke we're kind of the last house on the block for a lot of clients
You
because
guys are taking care of some very difficult's not even a great word, but some complex cases.
Complex is a good way to describe it.
Complex trauma, like you said, a lot of complex psychiatric diagnoses. Like, what a great resource that is.
So
for folks,
to answer your question, how people can get in touch with us, you can reach out and call us, and no commitment whatsoever. If you just need information, feel free to call us. Our phone number is 801-669-5888. And that's our front office. They can get you in touch with admissions. Our website is newroadstreatment.org. And then I should mention too, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We just got nonprofit status, and we're doing that to try and be able to help more folks.
I like it. So beautiful. If you get a hold of somebody, they're going to find you treatment.
Yes.
The people that are in this industry, they're not going to suck you into their treatment center if you're not appropriate for their treatment center. And so, I think New Roads isn't going to take a substance abuse client because they know that's not their primary deal. They don't do that. If somebody uses substances to deal with their serious mental health condition, you're not going to turn them away necessarily.
No, and that's a lot of our clients too.
I was going to say, lots of people use substances as a treatment for their mental health.
Yep.
They're trying to find something to relieve whatever's going on, whether that's depression, anxiety, voices in their head, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any last things you'd like to say?
I'm just grateful to run into you. I'm always happy to see you. And this was a lot of fun.